a very warm welcome to the thorough newspaper analysis for the 27th of November 2023. This entire video series, it's brought to you by LawSikho. So now let's quickly head to the agenda for today. First of all, for the editorial segment, we've taken a very interesting article which featured in the Indian Express. And the title of this article is, does the Indian judiciary have a patriarchy problem? Now, this article, I believe, is going to be of immense help in your essay writing portion of the syllabus, because while we deal with this article, we'll have a look at some of very relevant data and figure, which is going to reflect light on what is the current status so far as the representation of women in the judiciary is concerned. Secondly, we'll deal with the news update segment for the day, and this is going to be followed by the legal news update of the day. So without further ado, let's proceed to this article, and let's start with the title of this article first. So does the Indian judiciary have a patriarchy problem? This is the question which this article seeks to address. Let's see the context of this entire story. Recently, I'm sure you would know that Justice Fatima Bibi, the first Indian woman to become a Supreme Court judge, she died on Thursday at the age of 96 in Kerala. With her appointment to the Supreme Court in the year 1989, Justice Bibi, she became the first Muslim woman judge of the Supreme Court, and also, very interestingly, she was the first woman Supreme Court justice in the entire Asian region. Even as she acknowledged that the judiciary, it is a patriarchal institution, she very famously said that she has opened the door for women with her appointment. Now, in this light, let's have an understanding of what is the representation of women in the top court of our country. Since 1989, only 10 women, they have made it to the Supreme Court. And if we have a look at the current position, there are only 3 female judges out of the total strength of 33 Supreme Court judges. And these 3 female judges are Honorable Justice Seema Kohli, Justice Bela Trivedi, and Justice B.V. Nagaratna. While Justice Nagaratna is in line to become the first ever female Chief Justice of India on 25th of September in the year 2027, her tenure is going to be only for 36 days. However, the appointment of Justices Kohli, Nagaratna and Trivedi to the top court in the year 2021, it created history. And the reason for this historic moment was because for the very first time in the history of Supreme Court, so many female judges were appointed in a single go. Additionally, this was significant as so far as the first time we had 4 female judges in the top court at once, which is the highest number so far. Apart from this, there have been only 8 other female judges in the history of India's apex court, and these judges are Honorable Justice Sujata Manohar, Justice Ruma Pal, Justice Gyan Sudha Mishra, Honorable Justice Ranjana Desai, Justice R. Bhanumati, Honorable Justice Indu Malhotra, Justice Indira Banerjee, and of course, Honorable Justice Fatima Bibi. This means that among the total 268 judges in the Supreme Court's history, only 11 so far have been women. In other words, if we have a look at the percentage of this figure, a mere 4.1% of all Supreme Court judges so far, they have been women, while remaining 96% of them are men. Now let's see as to whether this situation is any better when it comes to the high courts of our country. Now, this is a figure that I believe all of us should know, because it may also feature in your exam and otherwise also, that presently India, it has 25 high courts. And as far as the sanctioned strength of judges in all of these high courts is concerned, it is 1,114 judges. However, according to the data which is available on the website of Department of Justice, only 782 judges, they are working, while the remaining 332 judges, their post, it is vacant. Among these, only 107 judges, which translates to nearly 13% of all the High Court judges, they are females. Currently, none of the country's 25 high courts they have a female chief justice, barring the Gujarat High Court, where the collegium appointed Justice Sunita Agarwal in July this year because there weren't any women high court chief justices in the country. Responding to a question which was put by a Lok Sabha MP on the representation of weaker sections among the High Court judges, the Union Law Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal, he recently said in the month of July that the appointments to the higher judiciary, they are made in terms of these three articles, and these are Article 124, Article 217, and Article 224 of the Constitution, which do not provide reservation for any caste or any class of persons. However, the minister he added that despite this, the centre had requested the High Court Chief Justices duly to consider suitable candidates who are women, minorities, scheduled castes, or scheduled tribes, among others, while they send their proposals for appointing judges to ensure that there is social diversity in this process. Also, before this July episode, there was a question which was put by a Rajya Sabha MP in response to this question. And this question again pertained to the strength of female judges and that of lawyers in the high courts and in the Supreme Court. So responding to this question, the then law minister, he said and revealed, and I quote, as on 31st of Jan 2023, in the High Courts, against the sanctioned strength of 1108 judges, 775 judges, they are working, out of which nearly 106 are women judges and 669, they are male judges. The percentage of women judges, it is nearly 9.5% of the total strength, and it comes out to be 13.6% of the working strength of the High Court judges. At present, no women chief justice is working in any high court of the country, unquote. Speaking of the subordinate judiciary, because now we have talked about the higher judiciary, the constitutional courts of our country. Now let's see whether this picture is any different, if at all, when it comes to the lower judiciary. So with respect to this, our base of discussion would be a 2018 study, which is done by Vidhi Center for Legal Policy. It found that while representation of women in the lower judiciary, it is relatively higher, which is at 27%, it hit a glass ceiling in the higher appointments as district judges and subsequently at the high court level. Also, this 2018 study, it found that there were 15,806 judges in the lower judiciary between March and July of 2017. The report found that only in 3 of the small states, which is Goa, Meghalaya, and Sikkim, with a collective total of more than 103 judges, did the percentage of women judges cross 60%. Further, the report stated that barring Telangana and Puducherry, the percentage of women judges, it remained below 40% for all other states, regardless of geography, cultural consideration, and other differences. Though there is no reservation for women in the higher judiciary, several states they have appointed quotas for women in the lower judiciary, including the states of Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Karnataka, Orissa, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, and Uttarakhand, which provide nearly 30% to 35% of the total seats for which recruitment is done through direct appointment. Now, more recently, another study which is titled the India Justice Report 2022, it revealed that only 13% of the High Court judges and nearly 35% of the subordinate court judges, they are women. Also, at the level of district judges, Goa had the highest, or 70% of the women judges, while Meghalaya, it had 62.7%. The figure for Telangana is 52.8%. When it comes to Sikkim, it is 52.4%. So it came very, close behind these states, the report said. So the question arises is, why is there a lack of Indian women's representation in the judiciary? What may be the possible reasons? Now, the reason for the lack of the representation, it includes an entrenched old boys club mentality, which makes it harder for women to lobby for judicial posts. Speaking to The Guardian in 2017, senior advocate Indira Jaising, she pointed out that the small courtesies which are offered by men to other men, such as the chance to have their cases heard first, the friendly body language of male judges when speaking to male lawyers, and said, and I quote, it gets to a depressing no it gets to be depressing not to have a community to bond with. Women, they are increasing now, but they're also not very bonded, they are isolated, unquote. Besides this, also factors such as sexual harassment, clients not trusting women advocates with higher stake cases, and the lack of supportive infrastructure, from the lack of toilets to maternity leave, it also contributes to higher attrition rates of women in judiciary and litigation as well. The lower judiciary, it is better than the High Court and the Supreme Court, and the reason perhaps is that the entry in the lower judiciary, which all of us were preparing and all of you are preparing, it is because it is through an examination. While when it comes to the High Court or the Supreme Court appointments, they are decided by the collegium, which works through informal channels of picking candidates. So now the next question arises is, so why is there lack? And let's see what is the approach of the judiciary, as in what the Supreme Court has held on this particular issue. So for this, we go back to April of 2021. So while hearing an application which was filed by the Supreme Court Women Lawyers Association for intervention in the case of Messrs. PLR Project Private Limited versus Mahanadi Coalfields Limited, where the issue of unfilled vacancies of the High Court judges, it was being considered, former CJI S.A. Bobde, he underscored that appointments, they are not an institutional issue, but a matter of finding the right women candidates. He said, and I quote, Chief Justices of the High Courts, they have stated that many women advocates, when invited to become judges, they declined the offer, citing domestic responsibilities about children studying in class 12th, which is high school, etc. Several female members of the bar responded, including Bombay-based advocate Veena Gowda, who said, there are many men who refuse judgeship because they have a successful practice and do not want to take a cut in their earnings. But has that stopped the collegium from seeking more men and taking them or making them judges? So with this, which is also, this topic is of a very concernable topic and issue, because if we want to make the judiciary a very diverse forum, then we have to make place for people from diverse backgrounds, but at the same time we have to make sure that the efficiency, it is not compromised. So this is a balance that needs to be stricken. Now let's proceed to the national news update segment. So now let's proceed to the national segment, and this is the very first update. India becomes chair of the International Sugar Organization for 2024 to lead global sugar sector. In its 63 council meeting, the International Sugar Organization, which is headquartered in London, it has recently announced India to be the chair of the organization for the next year. Now, this is a huge achievement for the country to lead the global sugar sector and reflect on the growing stature that India has in this particular domain. While attending the ISO Council meeting, Shri Sanjeev Chopra, who is the Secretary Food Government of India, he remarked that during its period of chairmanship of this organization next year, India seeks support and cooperation from all member countries, and India would like to focus on bringing together all member countries to adopt more sustainable practices in sugarcane cultivation, in sugar and ethanol production, and better utilization of byproducts. Now, if we have a look at India's position in this domain, India has been the largest consumer and the second largest producer of sugar in the world. With about 15% share in the global sugar consumption and nearly 20% production of sugar, Indian sugar trends affects the global market very profusely. This leading position, it makes India as the most suitable nation to lead the organization. With Brazil in the Western Hemisphere, India is the market leader in Eastern Hemisphere for sugar market. Now, being the third largest country in the world in ethanol production after USA and Brazil, India has shown commitment towards green energy and its capability to twist the challenges of surplus sugar in domestic market to solutions of fossil fuels imports and tool to meet the COP26 targets for India. Beverage giant Coca-Cola, it joins hands with ONDC, launches marketplace Coke Shop. Beverage giant Coca-Cola India on Friday, it announced that it has joined hands with the Open Network for Digital Commerce while also launching its own marketplace, which is called Coke Shop on the platform. But it has rather joined this platform. The initial association with ONDC, it is being supported through Seller app, which will help the company leverage the ONDC network with its data-driven insights, market intelligence, and strategies. Through the Coke Shop marketplace model, the company will enable retailers to sell their products to a wider audience on another channel while facilitating multiple touch points for consumers to purchase from. Bengaluru hosts Namma Kambala on 25th November and 26th November. This is what you need to know. Namma Kambala. Karnataka's capital hosted the most popular coastal region's cultural sport, which is called Kambala. This is the first time that the buffalo race, it was scheduled in Bengaluru, and the invitations, they were sent to many celebrities across the country. The fox sport, as we've already discussed, it was held in the heart of the city at Palace Ground on November 25th and 26th. The event was organized by Tulukuta, Bengaluru, and buffalo racing teams from coastal Karnataka. They participated. Now, here I would like to bring in picture something that recently happened before the Supreme Court. So, while the Supreme Court was dealing with the challenge to practices such as Jallikattu and all of these, animal taming races. So one of the race that came before the Supreme Court, I believe, was Kambala. I would like all of you to go ahead and read on it and maybe mention the name of this particular case in the comments so that, all of us can be aware, can be more informed when it comes to this judgment. Moving on. Joint exercise by armies of India and Nepal, which is called Surya Kiran, and this is the 17th edition. It begins in Pithoragarh. The Nepal Army contingent comprising 334 personnel, it arrived in India to participate in the 17th edition of the joint military exercise, and the name of this exercise is Surya Kiran. The exercise it started in Pithoragarh in Uttarakhand from 24th of November, and it will be concluded on 7th of December this year. It is an annual event and it is conducted alternatively in the two countries. The Indian Army contingent comprising 354 personnel, it is being led by a battalion from the Kumaur Regiment. The Nepal Army contingent, it is represented by the Taradal battalion. The aim of this particular exercise, it is to enhance interoperability in jungle warfare, counter-terrorism operations in mountainous terrain, and humanitarian assistance and disaster relief under the United Nations Charter on Peacekeeping Operations. The exercise will focus on employment of drones and counter-drone measures, medical training, aviation aspects, and also environment and conservation. Through these activities, the troops will enhance their operational capabilities that we've already discussed. It is going to refine its combat skills and strengthen its coordination in challenging situations. The 36th LAWASIA Conference 2023 on Everything Everywhere All at Once, Lawyering in the Digital Age. LAWASIA and the Bar Association of India invited their members and other legal professionals to join the 36th conference in the year 2023 from 24th to 27th of November at the Four Seasons Hotel in Bengaluru. The annual conference, it is LAWASIA's flagship event, and it highlights its professional events. It is in fact the highlight of its professional events program. The conference, it is a platform for the convergence of bar leaders, jurists, professional organizations, and individual lawyers from across the Asia Pacific, and it is designed to facilitate discussions of regional developments in law, including the following areas, which is your family law, human rights and rule of law, business law, we have environmental law, we have alternate dispute resolution, we have criminal law, we have IPR, and many more. As a generalist legal event, the annual conference also serves as an important forum for sharing ideas, building professional networking, and so on and so forth. Next up, we have the international segment, where this is the sole update for today. Researchers spotted waters mixing along the equator in the Pacific and the Indian Oceans. A previously hidden water mass, it has been identified in the middle of the Atlantic, offering a new perspective on the ocean dynamics. The newly discovered Atlantic equatorial water forms along the equator as ocean currents. They merge distinct water bodies from the north and the south. Researchers published their findings in the journal Geophysical Research Letters. The researchers spotted waters mixing along the equator in the Pacific and the Indian Oceans. And this has brought us to the legal updates segment, where we have an update from the Honorable High Court of Allahabad. The Allahabad High Court has recently held that order passed by the family court under Section 125 of the CrPC, which provides for the maintenance, it is not appealable before the High Court under Section 19 of the Family Courts Act of 1984. While referring to Section 19 of the Family Courts Act, the bench of the High Court, it held, and I quote, by using the words save as provided in subsection 2, the Parliament has left no doubt to be entertained as to the supremacy of subsection 2 of Section 19 with respect to the right of appeal, which is created under Section 19(1) of the Act. Section 19(2) of this Act, it clearly denies the right of appeal against any order that may be passed by family court under Chapter 9 of the CrPC. Undisputedly, Section 125 CrPC, it is an integral part of Chapter 9 of the CrPC. The name of this particular case is Deepak versus Shrimati Reena. And this has brought us to an end of our TNA. In case you want to get access to the free study materials that we curate, or the TNA slides that have been used in this video, I would highly encourage all of you to please join our Telegram channel. And for the same, you may click on the link which is given in the description or scan the barcode here. These are the point of contacts in case you want to get in touch with LawSikho. Thank you for being with us.